Hello everybody and welcome back to a very special, very specific video here on WAT Gaming today. This is the official announcement and reveal of Season 2 of WatCW. WatCW, of course, is short for WAT Championship Wrestling. It is the premier virtual wrestling league on YouTube and Twitch. We did a first season of WatCW in Wwe 2K25 quite some time ago out of the Universe mode. All of the streams and videos for that first season are still available on this channel, and in fact, I'll include a link to the playlist for Season 1 in the description if you're interested in checking that out. It was very fun, very chaotic, and there's no better time to get caught up on your WatCW than right now because Season 2 is not far away. In the meantime, enjoy this footage of me playing the Tamina Snuka Money in the Bank Showcase ladder match. I figured this would be better than just having footage of my fat face talking for the next couple of minutes. I think this is considered the most difficult match in the base game of 2K25, and I am of course playing it on hard mode, not to showcase my legendary skills, but because I think it'll be really frustrating and funny to watch. If I surprise myself and beat it before I'm done talking, then I guess I'll have to tack on some footage for other matches at the end. Alright, let's get into it. Season 2. I've been teasing for months on my streams this grand new idea, this new approach I want to take to wrestling streams that's going to completely change how they function, but I've been so coy about it. I've kept it close to the chest. I didn't want to reveal it too soon and never follow up on it properly, but I think we're close enough now that we can start talking about it, folks, and I'm so glad you're with me to listen. Alright, check it out. So for Season 1, it was all pretty just sort of random and kind of story driven. We had this big dynamic roster of characters from games I had streamed in the past, some movie characters, some comic book characters, and we had a lot of wrestler realizations of friends that we have in the content creation space, other streamers, YouTubers, podcasters, movie trivia players, and we mixed them all up and had them fight each other. There were rivalries and championship matches, teams, betrayals, storylines, twists and turns. It was very fun, very silly, but very, very fun. And to me, WatCW was at its best when you would have representations of actual people that I know in real life, made wrestlers, and you'd see those actual people get invested in their character. They'd be in the chat cheering themselves on, or they'd be talking smack, or they'd go on social media, record a video, cut a promo. To me, there was definitely a peak of WatCW, and it's when we had a number of people doing that. And as the season progressed, that slowly sort of wore off. I think people lost interest or just simply didn't have the time to engage with it on that level. And while I loved my WatCW all the way through, I truly, truly did, and that's a big part of why it's coming back. To me, there was definitely a peak where I was like, this is the concept at its best, and if I want to come back, I need to figure out a way to get back to its best or surpass the best and set a new bar. And I think I may have it here, so let's get into it. Season 2's theme is going to be Fantasy Faction War, and how it's going to work is I've already selected 6 trusted individuals who are going to function as faction team captains. And it's going to play out a little bit like a fantasy league. We're going to start the beginning of the season with a draft, and those captains are going to have the ability to draft wrestlers either from the 2K25 in-game WWE roster or from the very robust WatCW roster that I'm currently working on right now. If you follow the channel, follow the stream, first of all, thank you. But if you followed me for some time, you're going to see a lot of familiar faces in that WatCW roster. So they'll be able to handpick 5 wrestlers from the combination of those 2 lists, and that will be their team headed into Season 2. And like I said, it'll be kind of a fantasy league. So those wrestlers will compete on the show, and by winning matches, they'll earn points for their faction. Special stipulation matches, tables, ladder matches, Hell in a Cell, things like this that are in theory, harder to win will be worth more points. And then, of course, championship matches will be worth the most points. Winning titles, defending titles, that'll earn you extra points. And the captain at the end of the season, at the end of really Mania 3 would be the idea, at the season finale, with the most points will win a championship belt. Maybe it'll be a replica belt, WWE, AEW, TNA, etc. Or perhaps it'll be a custom WATCW championship. That'll be up to the captains, really, what they want to play for. We'll probably decide that officially later into the season. But they'll be playing for a big championship belt. Who doesn't love that? I'm not quite ready to reveal who my captains are. I've got them all locked in as of this moment. I'm working with them right now. But I think I just want to get a little closer to draft night before I feel comfortable telling you who they are. Similarly, before long, I'll start revealing some of the WATCW roster, but I think I just want to wait a little bit longer till we get closer to that premiere date. And what I think is this will really make for a more collaborative season, because now you've got 6 people who are not just getting invested in their individual characters' matches, but they're getting invested in large majority of the roster's matches. They'll have stake in just about everything. And there's going to be a lot of strategic opportunities for how this point system works. It's not just going to be draft your team, watch them wrestle, who's got the most points. There's going to be subsequent drafts throughout the season. Captains are going to be able to make trades with one another if wanted. And the big thing that I'll be introducing later in the season is a card system. Each captain's going to get a deck of advantage and sabotage cards. These will be randomly shuffled up decks of cards. Each captain will get one. Each captain will have different cards. And these will be cards they can play prior to or during live streams that can either serve to embolden their game or weaken other captains' games. So it's really going to be competitive. And I've also figured out, I think, a way for them to call in to the stream. So captains could potentially show up on the broadcast, help call matches, talk trash, celebrate a win, cry about a loss. I'm going to encourage them to cut promos. And right now I'm considering actually including that in the point system, the ability to cut a promo and talk up a match before it happens on social media. I really want to empower people to collaborate and get involved and invested, and I think it's going to make it way more fun, way more dynamic, and way more involved in a positive way that will serve obviously me, them, but also the audience. I think ideally, you'll watch it and you'll see captains or teams that you like and that you'll be invested in winning. And I'm even coming up with ways that the audience can get involved to help perhaps assist teams that they like. So I want to also give the audience some power in the game as well, and I'm still working on those details, so I won't get into that right now. But it's a constantly evolving concept. I've been thinking about it and toying with it and brainstorming for it for the last couple of months, and it's changed a lot in those months, and it still might change a little bit heading into the season and maybe even during the season. I'm currently working on a captain's guidebook so that we can really set the ground rules, and that way no one's getting surprised or anything mid-season. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be very dynamic. The roster itself for WATCW, even though in spite of what I'd said earlier, I do think I'm going to put less emphasis on singular characters based on people that we really know. Only because of what I'd said earlier, I think I don't want to have a bunch of people there who maybe are not all that invested in the show. There's still going to be a few. I have to have conversations with those individuals, make sure they're okay with it, want to be involved in that respect. But I don't think I'm going to just dive in and bring everyone back that was in Season 1. I don't think that's where I want to put my focus and energy and time right now. That said, if you're somebody from the first season and you were on the roster and you're hoping to see yourself again in Season 2, just reach out to me. If we haven't had that conversation yet, feel free to holler at me and say, yeah, man, I love that first season. I want to be involved in this one, and I'm sure we can make something happen. I'd be very happy to have those conversations. But otherwise, I really want to just kind of focus on the rich tapestry of characters that have been on the stream in the last couple of years. I like to think of it as kind of our own personal Smash Brothers. We're like building this sort of running canon of the stream of these people who exist on the show. I'm also going to approach the scheduling of wrestling streams a bit differently. At this time, tentatively, what I'm planning is a standard 2 wrestling streams a month. WatcW Season 1, by the end of it, it was kind of all over the place. It just wasn't so official and neat. But typically, I would do 1 wrestling stream a month. So it would really just be jumping from like pay-per-view to pay-per-view. We wouldn't do like weekly shows. And I don't want to do weekly shows. I don't want to become like primarily a wrestling channel, right? Like I don't want that to be my only output. I want to have time to still be able to pick games and do full playthroughs the way that I like, the way that I'm already doing. So my plan is each month right now, we would do 2 wrestling streams. I think 2 is ideal because 1 a month it worked, but it's the bare minimum. And I think an extra 1 each month will involve or provide better opportunities for like storylines and also just getting other characters on the card. It's going to be very important that this be a fair and balanced game and that every faction's given a fair shake to get on the show. And an extra stream each month I think will provide opportunities to put wrestlers there who might otherwise kind of fall under the radar and not have the ability to start racking up points and present themselves as like powerful competitors, and when those wrestlers are established, we want to make sure that they have the ability to show up on the show frequently and potentially get in the title hunt and stuff like that. So the idea would be 1 Tuesday a month, we'll have a stream for Tuesday Night Turmoil. That would be like our equivalent of Monday Night Raw. And then 1 Sunday each month, we'd have our pay-per-view or PLE stream, if you call it that. Our equivalent to Royal Rumble or Survivor Series or SummerSlam. We'd have that stream, and that would be where, championship matches would happen, rivalries would end, things of that nature. So 2 wrestling streams a month would be the plan, with opportunities for, maybe some bonus wrestling streams for stuff that doesn't quite fit on either, or if there's just a lot happening, a lot of fun stories, and I'm just super fired up and want to do more wrestling, maybe we'll have extra turmoil streams or something like that. So 2 a month is the planned minimum going forward. And I think that about covers everything that I'm interested in sharing right now about the Fantasy Faction War, Season 2 of WatcW. And before I wrap up, I figured I'd also just take a brief moment to kind of get into the why I'm doing this, or why now. Because if you follow this stream, you've heard me criticize 2K as a studio, Visual Concepts as a developer. You've heard me criticize these games quite heavily. It's true that I was originally planning on doing Season 2 and 2K24, bought the game, and found that it was just not up to my quality bar, that it had just had too many problems, and I canceled it. And for a long time, I was insisting I wasn't going to get this game either. And then I just finally broke and did it. I said, you know what? Hell or high water. I'm too invested in this idea. I'm too excited about it. I really want to see it through. So I'm just going to get this damn game, and I'm going to make the most of it. And if there are any issues along the way, we're just going to have to adapt and deal with them. And, look, does that mean I don't have any integrity? Maybe. Have I said time and time again, and you'll always hear this in the 2K community space, like, the biggest problem and the reason that these games always come out broken and never quite get fixed is because people just buy them anyway. And, so why would they change their business practice if the bottom line stays where it is? I totally own that I'm part of that problem. The thing of it is, right now with the stream, if I could pull back the curtain and be a little honest with you, I'm in a spot where I feel like we're not really progressing. I feel like we've been kind of stagnant, kind of plateaued for a long time, and I go in and out of that realization. Sometimes I'm very aware of it and it bothers me. Sometimes I'm having so much fun that I don't even care. But every once in a while, I kind of look at the numbers, and the numbers, you should never look at the numbers. You should always just enjoy what you're doing, have fun, because the bigger metric of like, am I enjoying this, is usually quite high. I remember at the end of last year when I put out the big best of compilation, and I felt so silly for giving myself a hard time about metrics and growth and stuff, because I looked at all those moments and the memories that we had together, and I said, this is what it's all about. You know what I mean? This is the most valuable currency we can deal in is fun memories. And there was this huge compilation of them, and I said, this is great. I love this, and I do still love this, but I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't recognize that on a long enough timeline or at a big enough picture, I will need to feel some growth or progress, or like I'm working towards something, in order for this to always kind of feel worth it, if that makes sense. And I don't want the takeaway from this to be, oh man, I gotta tune into this guy's stuff or else he's gonna quit. That's not what I'm saying. But right now, I feel like I need to try something different or something new. I can't just do the same thing and expect a different result, right? So I've been so invested in, fired up about this idea. I've for the longest time been assuming I wouldn't even get this game, and yet couldn't help myself. I continued to play with the idea and workshop it and refine it. And I said, you know what? I've spent so much time just thinking about this and imagining how fun it could be. I've got to give it a try. I know I said I wasn't going to get this game, but it's the only way with which to realize this idea properly. And so I went ahead and pulled the trigger, and I got it. And I'll totally own that I'm part of the problem that empowers 2K to keep putting out subpar games. I will say, so far my experience with this one has been relatively smooth. I certainly have my notes on it and my complaints about it and things I hope that get fixed in subsequent updates, but so far I've had a pretty solid go at this one. It definitely feels more stable than 2K24. It's not perfect though. It's very far from it. But I've been able to so far really realize my idea, coming up with characters, arenas, and I'm sure there will be hurdles along the way, obstacles that I'll go, oh man, I didn't know this was an issue in this game. Now I got to kind of rethink how I do this. There'll be moments of that, and where I'll have to get creative along the way, and that's fine. I'm willing to do that. But right now, for me, Season 2 of WATCW, this is kind of my Hail Mary, right? I've got to try this out, because if I didn't do this and I kept going as I am and maybe did hit a point where I said, you know what, this clearly isn't working for one reason or another, I think I'm going to take a break, or I think I'm going to step away altogether. If I didn't try this, I would be wondering for a long time, but what if I had done that second season of WATCW? What if I had done the Fantasy Faction War? What if I tried it out? Would that have made a difference? Would it have been what I hoped it would have been? I would have always wondered, but we're going to do it, and then I won't have to wonder anymore. And it may not turn out how I hope it does. We may hit too many hurdles. Time constraints may just be too much. I don't know. That's also the nature of a collaborative project. You know, I made it very clear to my captains that they only need to be as involved as they want to be. There's a very minimum level of involvement that I need them for. Everything beyond that is just extra frosting. And if they want to give me the extra frosting, beautiful. I love that. And if they don't, that's perfectly fine too. But it is always scary to go into a project with other people and give them a little, stake in what you're doing. But I'm excited about it. The people I've got for it, I trust. I'm really pumped up to work with them. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you'll join me for Season 2 of WATCW. I hope it's clear that I've really thought this through. I hope it's clear that I'm very passionate about the idea. And I hope you can kind of see the vision that I've been seeing for the last couple of months. I'm not going to give you a hard premiere date quite yet, because there are still some details I'm working out, and I still got a schedule with my captains. But the plan is to go up this summer with a premiere draft stream, and then run some premiere tournaments to help crown our inaugural champions, and then sort of the regular season will pick up from there. But the idea is to get it fully in motion within the summer. So please stay tuned. Feel free to let me know your thoughts on the new premise for Season 2. I'm excited to finally share this with people and get it out there in the open. And of course, any updates on Season 2, expectations for the premiere, roster reveals, captain reveals will be across all my social media, which will also be included in the description. I'm very, very excited. I'm so happy to have shared this idea with you, and I hope to have you all season long when we get started on WATCW Fantasy Faction War. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you later. Take care.